Hello everyone, today I'll continue sharing the story of the single mother, Diệu Hân. I hope you enjoy watching this video. Ever since Tana left for Cambodia to study, the small home of Hân and her son has returned to a simple yet warm rhythm of life. Without Tana's cheerful mornings and helping hands, Hân reminds herself to be stronger, playing both the role of mother and father to little Tom during this time. The void Tana left behind is not small, but it has also become a source of motivation for Hân to be more resilient, to live each day fully with her child. Every morning, when the rooster crows to wake the village, Hân rises and quietly lights the stove to prepare breakfast. The aroma of warm porridge and sweet milk fills their small home. Little Tom, still drowsy, rubs his eyes, crawls out from the blanket, and toddles out to the porch looking for his mother. Sometimes he helps her pick vegetables. Other times he prefers to play with insects in the garden. Clumsy as he may be, his innocence always makes Hân smile, melting away her fatigue. During the day, Hân busies herself with daily chores: laundry, cleaning, and tending the small vegetable garden behind the house. The garden has become her source of joy and strength. Rows of green vegetables and blooming flowers seem to cheer her on, reminding her that life continues with resilience. Occasionally, Tom runs around the garden, laughing out loud as he spots a butterfly resting on a petal. Those sounds make Hân deeply feel the simple happiness right within her reach. In the afternoons, after finishing her work, Hân plays with her son in the yard. Sometimes they fold leaves, float paper boats down the stream, or simply sit together watching the sunset behind the bamboo grove. Their laughter often rings out, stirred by Tom's innocent words, ensuring their small home never lacks joy. When night falls, Hân prepares a simple dinner, and the two gather around the table. Afterward, she tells Tom fairy tales or shares fond memories of Uncle Tana, so that his presence remains alive in the boy's heart. Once Tom drifts to sleep, Hân quietly sits by the small table, reading Tana's messages on her phone. Even simple words like, "I miss you and our child so much. Take care of yourself at home," are enough to warm her heart through the lonely night. Though their life is plain without noise or hustle, it holds a precious peace. For Hân, joy means seeing her son grow up healthy and innocent each day. Above all, she carries a steady hope and faith that one day Tana will return, filling the little house with the wholeness of family happiness. This morning, Hân spent her time in the small garden behind the house. The rows of black beans she and Tana once planted together now thrive, their leaves swaying under the sun, pods plump and heavy with shiny seeds. The scorching sunlight burned down on the land, soaking her shirt with sweat. Yet she patiently bent down, carefully harvesting each cluster, her hands swift but her gaze gentle, filled with the quiet faith that today's effort would bring tomorrow's fullness. The bamboo basket beside her grew heavier with each handful of glossy black beans. The earthy scent mingled with the freshness of the newly picked pods, filling the air. Each time she placed another bundle into the basket, Hân felt both weary and at peace. She remembered past harvests when Tana was still here, bending down beside her, working and chatting, his laughter blending with the breeze, making all hardship seem to vanish. Now she was alone, but she tried to keep the same rhythm, as if extending his memory with her own hands and heart. Little Tom scampered around the garden, his sunlit hair glinting adorably. Sometimes he sat on the ground playing with tiny bugs. Other times he picked up beans that had fallen from the basket. His small hands were smudged with dirt, his clothes spotted with mud, but his face glowed with joy, his sparkling eyes holding the sky itself. Each time he laughed, Hân forgot the heat and exhaustion, feeling only the simple happiness woven into every moment. The cicadas buzzed loudly from the bamboo grove at the edge of the garden, the summer wind rustling through the leaves. Hân paused, looking at the full basket of beans, her heart swelling with quiet pride. Every pod she picked was not only the fruit of labor but also a continuation of love, a testament to the efforts of mother and child during the days of Tana's absence. At noon, under the blazing sun, Hân wiped the sweat off her cheek and carried the heavy basket inside. Tom ran after her, chattering away, asking when he could have sweet black bean soup, or whether these seeds could be planted again. Listening to his questions, Hân laughed, realizing that though life was hard, it was sweet. Even without Tana, each harvest carried hope, a silent message. This simple life goes on, nurturing her and little Tom with love, and with the faith that one day he will return, so the three of them can plant and reap together once more. That evening, after a long day in the garden, Han spread out an old straw mat in the middle of the house and placed the basket of freshly picked black beans on it. The warm yellow glow of the oil lamp on the wooden table made the glossy beans shimmer even more. In the quiet countryside night, the chirping of crickets outside and the rustling of the old bamboo grove blended with the soft clinking sounds as mother and child began sorting the beans. Little Tom quickly sat down beside his mother, his tiny hands skillfully picking out shriveled and worm-eaten beans, setting them aside. Every time he found a good bean, he cheered with delight, as if he had discovered a hidden treasure. His bright eyes looked up innocently and asked, "Mom, if Uncle Ton were here, would he help us pick beans too?" Han paused for a moment, her hands slowing, then smiled gently, brushing the sweaty strands of hair from her son's forehead. "Of course. Uncle Ton always liked helping me with this. He used to joke that whoever picked faster would win a big bowl of sweet soup." Tom's eyes lit up and he clapped his hands. "Then tonight I'll be the fastest, so tomorrow you can cook sweet soup for me." The sound of childish laughter filled the little house, washing away the day's fatigue. As she continued sorting the beans, Han told her son stories of the past. The time Ton dropped a whole handful of beans on the ground, or the day he playfully placed Tom into the bamboo basket and called him a smiling bean. The boy listened intently, laughing so hard his cheeks turned red, as if those familiar scenes were happening right before his eyes. When the sorting was done, Han took some beans to roast. Smoke rose from the hot pan, beans crackling as they popped, releasing a fragrant aroma through the kitchen. Tom stood close by, eyes wide with excitement, occasionally waving the scent toward himself and giggling. Patiently stirring, Han poured in water and a little rock sugar. Soon the pot of black bean sweet soup bubbled, its sweet fragrance mingling with warmth that filled the small home. Mother and child sat together, bowls of steaming soup in hand. Tom blew on his spoon before tasting, his lips sticky with sweetness, then said innocently, "I'll save a bowl for Uncle Ton so when he comes back, he can eat it right away." Han's heart tightened at his words, but warmth overflowed even more. She nodded, smiling softly at her son. "Yes, my boy. Uncle Ton will be so happy to know you always think of him." Outside, the moon had risen high, its silver light covering the mossy tiles. Inside the little house, the fragrance of black bean soup lingered, mingling with Tom's giggles and the unspoken love and longing in Han's eyes. That night, though Ton was far away, family bonds wrapped around mother and son like an invisible thread, filling the empty spaces. After finishing the soup, Tom still clung to the idea of saving a bowl for Uncle Ton. He toddled over to his mother, tugging her hand playfully. "Mom, let's call Uncle Ton. I want to show him this soup." Han laughed at his innocence, then picked up her phone. The screen lit up, and after a few rings, Tana's face appeared. He was in his dormitory room, simple but tidy. The moment he saw Han and Tom, his eyes brightened and a warm smile spread across his face, still damp with sweat from just finishing class. "What are you two doing?" he asked, his voice warm through the call. Excitedly, Tom held the bowl of soup up to the camera, chattering away. "Uncle, today me and Mom harvested black beans. I picked the fastest, so Mom cooked sweet soup. I saved a bowl just for you." Tom laughed, his eyes brimming with emotion. He raised his hand to the screen as if to touch the bowl, then looked at Han. "You've worked so hard. Just seeing this warms my heart. I promise when I come back, I'll cook sweet soup with you both." Han smiled softly, her eyes glowing with tenderness. She looked at her son's radiant face, then at Ton on the screen. In that moment, the hundreds of kilometers between them seemed to vanish, leaving only the warmth of love binding the three together. The call lasted longer than usual. Tom chattered about his garden games, about a yellow butterfly that landed on his shoulder, and reminded Uncle Ton to come home soon to eat the sweet soup for real. Ton listened, nodding and smiling, sometimes joking in between, making Tom burst out laughing again and again. As the night grew late, Han tucked Tom into bed. Before hanging up, Ton spoke with gentle firmness. "Take care of yourself, don't overwork. I'm doing fine, so don't worry. As long as you and our boy are happy, I'll have all the motivation I need to study." The call ended, the screen went dark, but the warmth lingered in their little home. Stroking her son's hair, Han felt a steady faith rise in her heart. No matter the distance, love would hold them together, nourishing their family through the long days of longing. After lulling Tom to sleep, Han gently lay down beside him. In the small room, moonlight slipped through the window, casting a silver glow across the child's innocent face. Tom's soft, steady breaths rose and fell like a gentle lullaby, carrying Han into a rare moment of peace after a long, tiring day. She reached out to smooth his hair, feeling the softness of each strand and the warmth radiating from his little head. Her heart overflowed with love. Her gaze lingered on his rosy cheeks, his long lashes trembling slightly in dreamland. A tender smile appeared on her lips, a smile filled with love, patience, and a quiet gratitude for life, forgiving her Tom as her anchor. Though her eyes were heavy from the day's work in the garden, Han's heart brimmed with simple happiness. Her son was growing up safe and sound, no longer surrounded by storms, shouts, or the insecurity of the past. Each steady breath he took affirmed her choice, to leave behind the chaos and preserve peace for her child. But when her eyes drifted upward to the ceiling, memories of Tan flooded back. She could almost see him bent over in the garden, soil clinging to his hands but his smile radiant, calling out to her whenever he found a bean plant heavy with pods. His laughter, his voice still echoed faintly in her ears. Her mind replayed countless tender moments. Tan carefully tending vegetables, his steadfast eyes, and his gentle reassurance whenever she was weary. Everything will be all right. Now he was in a faraway country, someone she could only see through a phone screen, hear through brief, sometimes choppy connections. Han sighed, not with deep sorrow but with a gentle longing, a longing laced with faith. She whispered to herself, "As long as I live well with our son, as long as I hold on to hope, the day he returns will be the happiest day of all." That thought glowed like a small flame, not blazing but bright enough to light her heart through the long night, to dispel loneliness whenever darkness fell. Outside, the wind rustled the bamboo leaves, the moonlight spread across the empty yard. Inside, mother and child rested peacefully, while Han stayed awake a little longer, watching her son's sleeping face, whispering a promise to herself, to wait patiently, to live well, so that when Tan returned, the three of them could continue writing their story of peace and happiness. While Han and little Tom slept beneath their village moonlight, in faraway Cambodia, Tan was quietly enduring his own long days of yearning. At night, when the unfamiliar city settled into silence, he sat alone at his small desk in the dormitory. Outside the window, the glow of streetlights sparkled like stars, reflecting in his weary eyes that still shone with determination. Books piled high on the desk, his pen racing across the page. But deep in his mind, only the gentle face of Han and the bright smile of little Tom appeared. Every morning, Tom began his day with a packed schedule. He went to class early, sitting in his usual seat, listening intently to each lecture. Some days, exhaustion tempted him to give up, but whenever he closed his eyes, the image of Han bending over the vegetable rows under the sun, or Tom running playfully in the yard, returned to remind him why he had to push forward. In the afternoons, while many classmates relaxed or gathered with friends, Tan often stayed in the library or lab, reading more, taking notes, and testing new knowledge. He knew clearly that if he didn't give his all now, the day of reunion would drift even further away. Friends often invited him to join outings or gatherings, but he rarely agreed. He didn't want to indulge in fleeting pleasures. His only priority was to study, to train, to prepare for the future. Only then would he be worthy of Han's quiet waiting. Only then could he give Tom a peaceful childhood, free from want. There were moments when the desk lamp cast his long shadow on the cold floor tiles. He would set down his pen, gaze out the dark window, and watch memories play across his mind like a familiar film. Han tending the garden with patience, Tom's little feet running circles as his laughter echoed. And within those memories he too was there, kneeling beside them, harvesting black beans, sharing the joy of their work. The memories were so vivid they made his chest tighten, his eyes sting. Yet Tan knew distance was only a test. Longing could weaken a person, but if turned into motivation, each step would be stronger. He refused to falter. He wanted to return not as the same man, but as someone stronger, able to protect and provide a complete home for Han and their son. Whenever the longing surged, he drew a deep breath, closed his eyes, and let their faces fill his mind. Then he lowered his head again to his books, transforming love and yearning into strength. Each note, each page he studied felt like one step closer to his family. In his heart, one image carried him forward. The little home in the village, where gentle Han waited and innocent Tom called his name with joy. He told himself, "As long as I persevere, as long as I keep trying each day, the time will come when I can return. And when that day arrives, all this distance and sacrifice will become beautiful memories, exchanged for days of reunion and happiness." One late evening, after finishing an extra study session at the library, Ton returned to his dorm room. The space was quiet, with only the ceiling fan spinning steadily and the desk lamp shining down on a pile of books. He was just about to take out his notes for more review when his phone suddenly buzzed. On the screen appeared the familiar line, "Video call from Han." Tana's heart suddenly raced. He hurried to answer. At once, Han's face appeared on the screen, bathed in the soft yellow light of their small home. Little Tom sat in her lap, cheeks rosy, eyes sparkling, waving excitedly as he shouted, "Uncle Ton, I miss you so much." Ton smiled, his eyes warming instantly, as if all the day's fatigue had melted away. He raised his hand toward the screen, his voice thick with emotion. "I miss you too, little one. Have you and Mom eaten dinner yet?" Han nodded gently, her smile tender but tinged with longing. She tilted the phone slightly so Ton could see the small bowl on the table, the bowl of black bean sweet soup that Tom had insisted on saving since the afternoon. "Today I made sweet soup with the beans we just harvested. Tom said we had to keep one bowl for you, to wait until you come home." At those words, Tana's chest tightened. Memories of the garden came rushing back. Every row of black beans he and Han had tended together before he left. Seeing them now in their home, kept for him by his child, he felt both choked with emotion and deeply grateful. "I promise when I return, I'll eat every bit of that soup. And I'll help Mom harvest again, cook again, and sit down to eat with both of you." Tom laughed joyfully, shaking the bowl in front of the screen as if to hand it over. Beside him, Han tilted her head slightly, her gaze resting on Ton, filled with encouragement, affection, and longing. The call lasted longer than usual. Tom chattered nonstop about the garden, about a yellow butterfly dancing over the vegetables, about the time he almost tipped over his mother's basket of beans. Ton listened attentively, occasionally teasing the boy, making him laugh until his cheeks glowed red. The warmth of that moment made the hundreds of kilometers between them vanish. When Tom began yawning, Han tucked him into bed. Before ending the call, Ton spoke firmly but gently. "Take care of yourself, don't overwork. I'm fine really, so don't worry. As long as you and our boy keep smiling like today, I'll have all the strength I need." The screen slowly went dark, but Tana's heart remained aglow. He sat still for a long while, the smile lingering on his lips. Outside, the Cambodian sky glittered with stars, but in his heart, the only light was Han and Tom, waiting for him back home. After the call ended, the room fell into its familiar silence. Ton sat quietly at his desk, hands clasped, his eyes staring into the dim space as if still holding the image of Han and Tom before him. Their laughter, their tender looks echoed in his mind, stirring a bittersweet ache of longing. He set the phone down, leaned back in his chair, and closed his eyes. Immediately, memories of the three of them together in the garden played like a slow film, so vivid it felt real. He saw himself kneeling among the bean rows, soil on his hands, sweat dripping down his forehead, but still laughing as he teased, "If you pick faster than me, I'll lose." Little Tom scampered around, muddy feet carrying a cluster of beans proudly to his mother, his bright eyes sparkling like the sky. And Han sat nearby, her sun-kissed face gentle, her smile so soothing it erased every trace of exhaustion. The memory was so warm and peaceful that simply recalling it gave Ton strength. He opened his eyes and looked at the towering stack of books before him. Once the sight had weighed him down, but now each page seemed alive with purpose. He understood that every effort he made was not just for himself, but for Han, for Tom, for the little home waiting for him. Ton stood and walked to the window. The night wind drifted in, carrying the damp scent of unfamiliar soil. The Cambodian sky stretched wide, filled with countless stars glittering like a child's eyes. Yet in his mind, the only light was the image of his two loved ones at home. He whispered to himself, "I must be stronger. No matter the exhaustion, no matter the longing, I cannot falter." The day of reunion will come, and when it does, I will return not as the man I was, but as someone grown, capable of protecting them, of giving them a better life. He returned to his desk, picked up his pen, and began to write again. The nib moved steadily across the page, every word carrying hope. Outside, the sky still shone with countless stars, but inside Tana's heart, a flame of love and determination burned quietly yet steadily, never fading. Longing was no longer a burden, but a strength guiding him forward on the long path ahead, the path that would one day lead him back to Han and Tom. While Tan sat far away in a foreign land, diligently studying at his desk back home, Han was also staying up later than usual. After soothing Tom into a deep sleep, she quietly stepped to the small table by the window, where an oil lamp cast its warm golden glow. On the table lay an old notebook, opened, with a pen resting beside it, as if waiting for her familiar hand. Han took a deep breath and began to write. Her rounded letters slowly stretched across the page, each line carrying thoughts she could never fully say during the brief evening calls. Today our son and I harvested black beans. The sun was scorching, sweat soaked through my back, but when I saw the basket full I felt at peace. Our boy is still so innocent, chattering about everything, always mentioning Uncle Tan. You must be very busy where you are, aren't you? She paused, looking out at the yard. Moonlight spilled down, draping the old tiled roof in a gentle glow. For a fleeting moment, she imagined Tana's figure in the garden, his back bent, hands carefully parting the rows of vegetables. The image stirred in her a deep, aching longing. She continued writing. I believe that distance is only a test. Our son and I will live well, waiting for the day you return. Each day I remind myself to be strong, so that when we meet again, you will see that I never faltered, and that our boy has grown up in peace. Her pen stopped on the page, her eyes shimmering with tears though her lips curved into a faint smile. Somewhere else, Tan too was bent over his notebook, filling its pages with lessons important for his future. Two people separated by distance, each with their own notebook and pen. Yet in every word they wrote, the same things resided. Love, faith, and hope for reunion. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly, the same moonlight shining over both Cambodia and their home village. No matter how far apart they were, the moon and their love remained the invisible thread binding their hearts, ensuring that these two kindred souls would never lose one another.
Hello mọi người, lại là mình đây, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Hy vọng những video của mình sẽ mang đến niềm vui cho mọi người mỗi khi xem. Hiện tại kênh của mình đang kể về những câu chuyện của những người mẹ đơn thân sinh sống ở Việt Nam. Và những video của mình thì được phát hành vào lúc 7 giờ tối theo khung giờ Việt Nam. Mọi người nhớ chú ý đón xem nha. Nếu cảm thấy những video của mình hay, hấp dẫn, nhớ đăng ký kênh và bật thông báo để nhận thông báo khi mình đăng video mới nhất, để không bỏ lỡ một video nào. Và đặc biệt là mọi người nhớ để lại cho mình một nhận xét ở dưới phần bình luận để mình cải thiện những video sao hay và hấp dẫn hơn. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video của mình. Rất mong được mọi người ủng hộ kênh của mình để ngày càng ra nhiều video mới hay và hấp dẫn hơn. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha.